Now, y'all have been a great audience. Again, don't forget to tip your bartenders. They've done a great job. I'm gonna get another drink. And I want y'all to give it up. Give this full energy. Give it up for Doug Singwell. Let's give it up.
All right, Haymaker, how we doing? All right, thank you all for supporting local comedy and being in the most chill cocktail bar in Raleigh. This place is just, I look at that like it's a pseudo-alcoholic, that's just like a library right there. It's just anyway, to my astonishment, I turn 61 next month. Thank you. And I've realized for the rest of my life, if I want cheap applause, I can just say how old I am. It's fucking awesome. Do you need to say something funny? No, just say 61. There we go. But I was thinking about this the other day. I'm 61. I've been working for more than 45 years. And I don't mind saying it, I'm tired of it. I would very much like to be able to not work. At the same time, I am very much twice divorced, so I'll be at work tomorrow morning. I'll see you there. But I look back at my life and, opportunities that I've missed. Roughly 6 years ago, I had a friend who worked at NVIDIA. If I had invested 10 grand at NVIDIA 6 years ago, I'd be looking at more than 2.5 million right now, which means I would not be here after work, I would be here instead of work. My life would be very, very different. And there's another opportunity, especially lately, it's been on my mind a lot. Again, roughly 6 years ago, I had the chance to go to DC and beat the hell out of a cop on the Capitol steps. I'd be looking at a slush fund of $1.8 million. The fuck was I thinking? I do not know. But part of being this age is your health becomes important. Well, actually, it's always been important. Your health just sort of insists on taking up a lot of your time. So I had a physical about a month and a half ago, and this surprised me. They don't do a prostate exam anymore. It's not part of the program. It's not covered by insurance. So if you want one, you have to pay out of pocket. So, and I gotta say, my doctor's really, really cool. For her, it's $30 for the first 20 minutes, but only $1 a minute after that. So it's very, very reasonably priced, and that's great because I'm having like 3 physicals a week right now. So there we go. But with the physical, you're always thinking about your numbers. So the first number was blood pressure. That's not good. I'm not going to tell you what my number was, but it was basically my number of unread emails over how many times I flossed my teeth last year. That's not a good number. And then my cholesterol, they do the blood work, they send the blood to the lab sends the results back. When my doctor got the results, she sent me a note in my chart. I swear to God, the first word in her note about my cholesterol was, wow. You don't want it, to start that way. And she sent me this colored chart where I could figure out, where does your number fit? And it was like normal, elevated, high, and my number was in a region labeled, get your heart right with God. You don't want to be up there, so we got to work on that. Another thing about this age, though, is I get all these targeted ads for colon health products. How many people here just spend all your time thinking about your colon? I don't know, it's just not something on my mind. But actually, we'll talk later, sorry. But one of the products that I love is called Cologuard. It's a home colon cancer screening kit. So if you're thinking about spicing things up in the bedroom, that's a really bad idea. Just don't go there. But their disclaimer is, may create false positive or false negative results. I don't even know what that is. I think what it is you get a box and there's a scratch off inside. And the scratch off at the top says, do I have colon cancer? And when you scratch it off, it says, not necessarily. I don't know why that product, if it says you do, you might not. If it says you don't, you might. And the other one that cracks me up is Rinvoq. And the thing that Rinvoq promises as their big sales pitch is visible improvement in your colon lining. Okay? I may be going to the wrong parties, but I have never shown anyone my colon lining. Any of you guys are going to those parties, please let me know. I will be glad to stop by, but it's just, and I just don't see that as being a thing. Like, I'm not going to call my girlfriend, hey, Angel, you know that messed up part of my colon? The part with the scar tissue that spells red wrong? Well, grab your flashlight and come on over. I got a surprise. It's just, we're not going to do that. That doesn't sound useful. Anyway, enough old man stuff. If you know me, you know I love a good pun. Instead, I'm going to tell this pun. I'm not proud of this. It's true about me. I own it. But I cannot stand. I absolutely despise people without feet. That's right. I am lactose intolerant. Thank you. Yeah. Wow. You guys gave that way more respect than it deserves. Oh my God. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. She broke up with a guy that she had been dating, about a year and a half. She was ready for a more serious relationship. He was ready for sex, pretty much all the time. And I knew things weren't going well when she started calling him hardware store. I'm like, why do you call him hardware store? She said, well, every time he comes over, he just nuts and bolts. Wow, okay, if you got it, share it with a friend. Okay, let's move on. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, I've started a new project. I haven't told many people about this, but I mean, we're family. I'll tell you guys. How many people know the show Say Yes to the Dress? Anybody? Okay, for those of you who don't know it, it features a bride-to-be and usually her mom and some of her girlfriends, and together they help the bride-to-be spend $8,000 on a dress she will wear once. It's a wonderful program. What I'm working on is a companion show. We're going to focus on the groom-to-be. So we're going to take the groom and several of his friends, we're going to send them to Vegas for a long weekend, and the friends want a showroom full of fabulous prizes if they can get the guy to call the whole thing off. So, there you go. So enjoy Say Yes to the Dress, and stay tuned for my show, Say No to the Hoe. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I don't know if you work in an office, but if you do, you know Monday morning you'll be around the water cooler talking about Say No to the Hoe. You guys see that? Okay. Oh, boy. Part of my background, I'll tell some stories here. I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian household. Yeah, hold your applause. One of the few good things about that is you learn some truly bizarre Bible stories. And I'd like to dramatize one for you now. This story, which I swear to God is in the Bible, this story comes from the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18. If you brought your Bibles, feel free to follow along. It's a story I call David, King Saul, and the Big Bag of Dicks. So the setup here, David wants to marry the king's daughter. So the king says, all right, you want to marry my daughter, go out, kill 100 men, cut off their foreskins, put them in a bag, and bring the bag to me. Pretty much standard rom-com stuff. So we'll skip through the details. Basically, at some point, David comes back with a big bag of dicks. And the king is like, okay, that's great, just put the bag of dicks in the corner and show yourself out. Well, David didn't trust the king. David's like, this guy's gonna call me in the morning, only 98 dicks in that bag, Dave, try again. So David, to get full credit for his work, as the Bible says, counted them out before the king. Now, we don't know exactly how he did that. I like to think that he laid them out neatly across the floor. So he was like, 1 dick, 2 dicks, 3 potato, 4. And then he reached in his bag and he pulled out a 5th dick and laid it diagonally across the first 4, which greatly streamlined the whole dick counting process. So David keeps going. He's got 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Well, at this point, the king's just sick of the whole thing. He's like, all right, I got it, 100 dicks, leave. But David had chosen this day to flex. So David takes his big bag of dicks and he takes a couple of steps towards the door and then he stops. Hold on, what's this? And he looks in his bag. I think there were several more dicks in here. And he just starts slinging dicks, 101, 102, 103. And he can't say this to the king. But what David's thinking is, oh, you thought we were done at 100? Fuck you, bitch, we're in dick overtime. And he just keeps the dicks coming. 197, 198, 199. David, stone cold killer, brought the king 200 dicks in a bag. But the last thing, wow, welcome, you walked in as I said 200 dicks in the bag. Okay, anyway, the last thing David said to the king was 199. Because after that, he reached in his bag and he pulled out the biggest, fattest, longest dick of all, and he looked the king in the eye, and he dropped that dick and got the fuck out of there. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that story of love and brotherhood, and may it inspire you to move through the world with kindness in the days and weeks ahead. I actually told this story last weekend, and the audience absolutely loved it. I was told later I can't teach Sunday school anymore. So, kids are going to miss out on some really cool stories. And actually, before I go on, just as an aside, if anyone needs 200 finger puppets, just hit me up. I can help you out there. Oh boy. So yeah, there we go with Bible story. We'll come back to that. In the meantime, I wanted to have a brief civics lesson. Let's talk about that. I can see your anticipation through the room. This happened during the Clinton administration. Back then, the government was concerned there were people who were eligible to vote, but they weren't voting. Imagine that. So they passed a law that said when you get your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. It was called the Motor Voter Bill. But some people still didn't vote. So to encourage them, they passed the Motor Voter Motivator Bill. But some people who weren't voting worked for one particular tech company. So they passed the Motorola Motor Voter Motivator Bill. And some of the Motorola employees who weren't voting were avid voters. So they passed the Motorola Motor Voter Motivator Bill. And other people were just guys who liked to work on their cars. So they passed the Motorola Motorhead Motivator Bill. And then there were other people who really enjoyed motorcycle racing. So they passed the Motorola Motocross and Motorhead Motivator Bill. And then every member of Congress went out and jumped off a cliff. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of our civics lesson. God love you. Thank you. But one more thing from the world of fundamentalism. One of the many downsides is that you don't learn to stand up for yourself, which is a problem when you're an adult in a relationship. So about 8 years ago, I had dated a woman for almost a year, and right from the start, it was all negativity. She didn't like the way I fold towels, the way I breathe, the way I chew, constant dick jokes. I mean, there was always something she was complaining about, and I just put up with it. But one night, I went over to her place on Friday night. We were going to cook dinner together. And I walked in and I set the groceries down on the counter. And she reached in the bag and pulled out the asparagus. It was like, look at the spears on this asparagus. Look how thick these. How many times do I have to tell you, do not buy asparagus when the spears are this thick, they're going to be toughened. And I just lost it. I just screamed at her, do not ever speak to me that way again. And those were the last words I ever said to her. Because after that, I reached in the grocery bag and I pulled out the biggest, fattest, longest cucumber ever. And I looked her in the eye, dropped that cucumber, and got the fuck out of there. All right, my name is Doug Dibble. I love you guys. Hope you have a great night. Give it up to your host, Victoria.
Thank you. Give it up for